Good morning, artists. Today we are going to get into one of my favorite things about art, which is painting. Now, before we paint, we have a couple of things we need to remember. Number one, make sure your sleeves are rolled up past your elbows. Just in case you put your arms in your work, you don't want the paint on your hands or arms. Then we are going to have something to protect our table. Make sure you move all of your supplies out of your way before putting your newspaper down. The newspaper will protect your table or your desk or work area from getting paint on it and from the paint bleeding through. Newspaper works really good. Spare paper, magazine pages, whatever you have laying around will do just fine. Then we can put our paper back on top. One of the most important things about painting is that our paint is not for our body. It is only for our paper and our artwork. You may have tools that make your hands a little messy, but when it comes to that, we will have a routine for washing our hands that Ms. Canick will teach you. We are going to do a painting today all about lines. And I know we've talked about lines before, but painting lines is really, really fun. Before we get started, we need to make sure that we write our name with a black crayon or pencil clearly so we can see it. Make sure you also put your class code next to your name. So if you're kindergarten, it will be KA or KB. Once your name is on your paper, flip your paper over and prepare your workspace. You will not need your crayon anymore, so you can set that aside. But what we will need is a paintbrush and a cup with black tempera paint. Tempera paint is washable, but we still don't want it on our clothes or our surfaces, because that's not responsible. To open our paint the correct way, we are going to push the cup onto the table and slide our thumb underneath the lid of the cup. Push, slide, and this will take a little bit of muscle. So you might need to use two thumbs. Fingers on top, pull up, peel, and set. One more time. Fingers on top, thumb underneath the ridge of the cup, pull up, peel, and set. We want to use our paint very, very carefully. And sometimes it'll be a little dry and get crusties on our paper, but you can just wipe that off. So, to paint lines, we are going to dip our brush so that only the bristles of the brush, let me see if I can get this thing to focus. Not exactly. Only the bristles of the brush are going to have paint on them. There should never be paint on the metal or the handle, only on the bristles. I'm going to dip my paint with my brush, and I'm going to paint the first line that I can think of, which is a straight line. I hold my paintbrush like a pencil, not like a pokey stick. My paintbrush is a tool, not a toy. If I want my paint to be a little darker, I can paint another layer on top of the first line that I made. Think of another line. Leave a couple of spaces. Maybe put your fingers between where you're going to paint next. And I'm going to draw a zigzag line with my paintbrush. Did I say draw? I meant paint. But when you're holding your paintbrush like a pencil, sometimes it's easy to forget. So zigzag line. Making sure I don't have any paint on the metal or on the handle is very important. So I just keep checking, and I can go over and over again to make it nice and dark. We have a wavy line, which is kind of like a zigzag line, right? but it's smooth instead of pointed. A little bit of paint goes a long way for you. Wanted to make that a little darker, so I dipped it in a couple more times. Now, we also talked about dotted and dashed lines. So I'm going to do a dashed line, which is a line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. Here's one of my favorite lines. Are you ready? I really love a loopy line. Loop, loop, loop. It might be a little tricky to draw the loopy line with your brush, so don't be afraid to pick it up and move it where it needs to go. Oh yeah, a loopy line. That's good stuff. I will draw another straight line, which is, in this case, a vertical line up and down. And maybe I'll draw some horizontal lines. Do you remember what kind of lines horizontal lines are? That's right, side to side. And maybe I want to add some vertical lines in there too. Oh yeah, that's a nice looking pattern. We are going to fill our paper with lines that do not touch each other. So make sure that you have enough space to paint each of your lines without touching another line. When we are done painting, Miss Canick has a cup for your brush to go in that will make it clean. Make sure that you return your brush to her so she can keep it clean for you. Then we are going to take our lid, and this is very important. We are going to put our lid back on our cup. And, you know, it's not all the way on there, right? What we need to do is we need to push again with our fingers, and we're going to use our thumbs to push and click the lid shut. Then we cannot spill our paint or drop it and make a mess. So, one more time. Put our fingers on top, thumbs under the lid, pull up, peel and set. Pick up the lid, on top of the paint, fingers down, push with thumbs, and go around. Nice and closed up, ready to travel. Your painting is going to go on the drying rack, and the next time we have art, we are going to add some fabulous colors. I hope you had a lot of fun painting lines with me. Make sure that you wash out your brush really, really good if you're working from home, so it will be ready to use the next time we get to paint. That's all for today. Bye-bye.